If you're wondering though how I feel about the debates that have taken place in the governor's race, I feel like Tina Kotek kind of bad impression, to be honest with you. I feel like she didn't perform very well in the debate, and what I mean is just that those of us that are have come out of the woodwork to say that we're going to vote for her in particular, we still feel like she just didn't come out of this debate looking very well, and I guess I feel like Tina didn't really do a good job of connecting with the people that were listening or making it personal, which she needed to do in the debate in such a way as to tell her story, and not the story of her time in the legislature, but the story that brought her to the legislature in the first place and who she was before, she joined, uh, the legislator and why she came to Salem in the first place. Like, and those are really important questions, especially here in Oregon, because what it kind of seems a bit like Tina Kotek came in from out of town, if you know what I mean. Like, one of those people that isn't really from here that came here because she felt that it was a state that she could get elected in. Wink, wink about all that. And I don't, I guess you could say that maybe I am choosing to vote for this particular candidate, but the way that she kind of comes across in the debate is that she just brags ultimately about the work that she did when she was, in the House down in Salem, constantly, and it kind of felt like both of the other candidates during the debates did a better job of articulating, what their concerns were and why they had actually come into to run in the debates and what their lives were like before they ran for office. And Tina just kind of sat there, and it's like her life began at her time in the legislature in the debate, and that was a mistake on Tina Kotek's part that she needs to correct in a big way. So I feel like if you are voting for her after watching that debate, you're probably doing it based on her actual record and everything, and also like on the basis of things like I myself, my view of Measure 101, it's important to me as a person, the drug war. I'm against it. I'm against continuing, an approach that is has so clearly demonstrated to us that it's failing pretty heavily, and things are getting more and more concerning in what's going on. And it's like the people that have control over the markets now are the worst people to basically be in control of the market that does exist for these illegal drugs, and it's like somebody's going to supply them with the smack that they want to use, no matter what anybody does, no matter how much society disapproves of it. That's reality, and we need to get away from that sort of idealistic thinking that has become way too common. This airy sort of idealism that has infected things. When it comes to the drug war, we need to be realist about it, and to be real about it, we need to know that there's a black market and that somebody will fill in the gaps to supply those people, with their illegal smack, which is what I'm referring to it as sort of a catch-all for all drugs right now. And I might not be using that term properly, but that's what I mean. Like, just as a shorthand in this whole thing, because I don't want to be like, have to differentiate between all the different individual drugs. But yeah, I mean, people are getting high, and that's just going to be a reality. It's just how things are, and that's something that we're going to have to come to terms with and accept if we want to be realist about this whole thing. So either the pharmaceutical companies are going to supply them with it, or it's going to be the black market that supplies them with it. Myself, I think that the pharmaceutical companies are at least capable of being regulated a lot better than the black market is. That's just my 2 cents about this whole thing. But if you're voting for Tina Kotek, you're probably voting for her on the basis of the fact that she's got like the narrow and pro-choice endorsements. She's got the she just wants to tweak Measure 110, instead of outright abolishing it like the other two candidates that Betsy Johnson campaigned against it. My sentiments in voting for Measure 110 weren't that I think that this bill is perfect. There's this scene in Buffy the Vampire Slayer after Anya has the locket, and everything's gone to shit, and Giles finally finds the locket and figures it out because Willow's been turned, everybody has been turned into vampires. Like it's just gone to shit, and because the wish was that basically that Buffy never came to Sunnydale, and I bring this scene up because it kind of reminds me of my sentiments in voting for Measure 101, where Giles just completely smashes the locket. Just before he does, like she asks him, like, "How do you know it will be better?" And he just responds, "Because it has to be." Well, that's kind of my general sentiment. Something akin or analogous to that in voting for Measure 110. It was just this prohibition policy is such a massive disaster that anything, even an open air drug market, would be better than what we were doing. Like I'm like there is no part of me that wants to continue the drug war anymore. It is a massive misallocation of resources. It's a waste of money, and it's not even getting results to anywhere near the extent that it would have to for me to want to continue this whole ordeal. But Tina Kotek just did not come off well during the debates that have taken place thus far.